think you should.
Welcome to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We are your hosts from Whānau, That Random Guy, and the essentially pleasing Harriet Skelly.
Yes.
Yes. This week we're going to be covering the Warriors of the Deep, just called Warriors of the Deep. I don't know why I keep adding a "the" to the beginning of Doctor Who stories. It's just something that I do. Followed by...
it's like, that's how it used to be. You know,
Yeah,
the first season was always the something.
Yeah, that is true, eh? The Unearthly Child, the Daleks, the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Followed by The Awakening. That time there is a "the."
Yes.
And then that will finish up for part A this week. We're very, very late in the game for the Fifth Doctor. And Harry Skelly, you've never seen Twin Dilemma, eh?
No.
Oh, I can't wait. You are totally covering that when we get to it, by the way.
Okay.
The Curious Tale of Spring Hill Jack is going to be our first story for part B, and finishing it off with Falling, a First Doctor short trip. Warriors of the Deep will take us away for this one. It is a 4-part story. It is the first story to show the Silurians in any capacity. The reptilian races of prehistoric Earth, the sentient reptilian races of prehistoric Earth in any capacity on screen since the Third Doctor. As he featured the last 2 stories on screen, that is, with the Doctor Who and the Silurians and the Sea Devils, which both did have "the" in the title.
Yes.
And one was weirdly actually called Doctor Who and the Silurians. I've always found that really weird. But Warriors of the Deep is set in 2084, so 100 years in the future of the contemporary audience who would have been watching the show at the time.
Yes.
Tegan mentions that not much has changed, which I really like, because I was like, yeah, that's because they just dollied up a set in 1984.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, it was good. They've landed on a sea
lab?
In a sea lab, 2020. If anybody's watched that show, or hasn't watched that show, I definitely suggest it if you've got a really bizarre sense of humor. But basically it starts off in the beginning. The Doctor and the crew are above Earth at the time. They're going to get shot down by space control, which I really liked. The Doctor's like, we're not bad guys, we're going to shoot you down. Oh. I don't know why he did that, since the extrapolated shielding would make him impervious to those blasts, but I suppose he just doesn't want to rock the boat. They end up landing inside the sea lab. They have a walk around. You find out that there's sort of low-level psychics that have been programmed in a way to become high-functioning psychics.
Is that actually the case? It kind of seemed like they were like cyborgs more than anything else.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting way to look at it. I thought that he was a low-level psychic.
Because he had like a thing on the side of his head for getting put in, and then like they had a reprogramming disc as well for him.
This is true. So maybe he is a cyborg.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. TARDIS Wikia, what do you have to say on the matter?
Cyborg, I bet you.
I think her mind's there. It just says a trained human operator.
Right.
Weird. Anyway, they're specifically designed to be in this. I kind of want them to be a cyborg, even though TARDIS Wikia doesn't say. But I think that makes more sense.
That's the only idea that I had about them, because the simply like having a thing on the side of his head, and then having a data disk that like controlled him in some way, was it as well? Like
here we are. They're called ensigns.
Ensigns?
Yeah, ensigns.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
That makes even less sense.
I think I'm going to say that they're augmented humans that have given them psychic abilities.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor used his mind to control it later on in the story.
Exactly. So I feel like it was, that like they've been augmented in some way that's given them that stronger will. But at the same time, I think that it is simply that they are like the augments from Deus Ex more than anything else. Yeah, rather than actually just psychics, because it seemed weird that they had like things on the side of their head, whereas if it was just a psychic thing, they could have just been like psycho stuff.
Yeah, psycho thingy. Actually, guys, I'd like to hear in the comments what your thoughts are. Are there cyborgs? Are there psychics? Are there psychic cyborgs? Just whatever you think they are, theorize below. But the Doctor ends up walking around this base and is like, something's happening here.
Yes.
And Tegan and Turlo are like, what? And the Doctor's like, I'm not going to explain for some reason, not to you or the audience. Ends up running off to their generator room, does some higgledy-piggledy Time Lord stuff in the generator room.
Yeah.
And then gets punched right in the head and flipped backwards into the water used to cool the generator.
Yeah.
And Turlo's like, no, Tegan, he's dead.
Yep.
Let's gap it. And Tegan's like, I'm gonna go get caught, Turlo. And he's like, I'm not. Gaps it.
Exactly.
And that's the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Episode 2, we get introduced to a Silurian commander who is teamed up with some sea devils that he's found. He's like, hey, look, I found some sea devils.
Yep.
Let's go wake them up. And the sea devils are like, we're Japanese in the story.
Yep.
As they have Genji armor, which I thought was really cool. I was like, oh, okay, we're just going to go with this? All right.
Yeah. I like that part. That was great.
Which reminds me of the Draconians from Frontier in Space.
Yeah, definitely.
As they were Japanese lizards.
Yeah.
So we had some more
Well, I guess
Japanese lizards.
at the time, the enemy was the Japanese, though, wasn't it? No,
No,
it wouldn't have.
It wouldn't
This
have
is
been.
long after that, so yeah, I guess they're just pulling from other cultures to try and figure something out.
So like Draconians, you're Japanese lizards. And the
Yeah.
Warriors of the Deep, J&T, was like, I'm real 80s at the moment. You Japanese
Yeah.
lizards, alright?
Yeah.
Anime is becoming big in the West.
Oh, that's
Japanese
it. It was
lizards.
anime.
Yeah. It was starting to become big in the West, with Speed Racer and stuff like that. They were like, yep, awesome, let's do it.
Yeah.
So Japanese lizards, the Silurians, the Sea Devils, Japanese edition, are like, hey, let's go eradicate mankind. And the Sea Devils are like, I am keen on that. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
So they turn up. They've got this being known as the Merca, which I understand. Which I understand to have been pretty much the last of its kind, as they only had the one.
Yeah.
And they used it as almost like an organic battering ram to get through the defenses of this base.
Yeah.
We found out that the Ensign Maddox, he was being manipulated by the most 80s villain ever in the 80s.
Yeah.
So this villain and villainess of the 80s, of just the highest level of 80s,
Yeah.
were walking around with their like deep eyeshadow, just 80s eyeshadow. And
Yeah.
like,
They were basically
we're evil.
They were basically the two like bad guys from what's that cartoon with the moose and the flying raccoon?
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, they were basically the bad guys from Rocky and
They
Bullwinkle.
were basically the bad guys from Rocky and Bullwinkle. I have to agree. See,
But it was great. It was great that they were though.
so they're actually. It turns out they're actually working for an enemy agent of the Sea Lab, and the Silurians are attacking. And instead of being all like, we're mankind versus the reptiles, they're like, we're mankind versus mankind and the reptiles.
Yeah.
And the commander of the sea base is like, that's really dumb. Reprogram our cyborg / psychic guy to sort everything out so we can save mankind. They're like, no.
Yeah.
The commander's like, I don't understand how you can decide to put your ideals before literally the rest of mankind. Who is actually going to pay you if we get wiped out? That is a good question. But we're evil bad guys in the 80s and we don't care.
Yeah.
That part of the story, I was like, okay, I've been taken right out. Because
Yeah. I do actually find
mankind's
that
wiped
the
out.
most,
Who would
Yeah,
pay them?
I found that the most hilarious thing because it seemed like they were like freedom fighters more than anything.
Yeah.
Like that's like what they were trying to sell, that they were like part of some like ragtag band of terrorists. Like that was their deal. But then all of a sudden, just like it was like, no, we're gonna destroy the world anyway. It's like what? That doesn't make sense to what your thing is, because I can understand, like, because of the 80s, basically, like, terrorists are just evil. Like, that's it. There's no, like, thing behind them. We haven't gotten to that point where we're, like, sympathetic towards their cause or anything like that. But it's still just, like, that's not a human reaction at all.
I don't like you, but my whole race is under threat. I'm gonna help you out, alright?
Yep.
It's like, even Civil War China got that right. They were like, we're getting invaded right now. If we don't stop the Civil War and fight the invaders, we both lose. That is a good point. Let's work together. Like, I'm just like, no, this is so weird. But they're bad guys. They're bad guys in JNT's 80s. I'm just gonna let it slide. Yep. They don't make any sense, but like, it's great that they don't.
Well, that's what the JNT's 80s is all about.
Yeah.
He decided on how the 80s was going to be handled for the rest of the 80s, so that's it. Yeah.
I love from the first episode filmed in the 80s, it's just the Doctor Who's instantly the 80s. It's so great. I love that. But the villainess is like, hey, I'm gonna go take this disc and this information about the Sea Lab up top, and he's like, okay, you go ahead and do that. And she's like, cool, I'm gonna go take it back to these people. And I'm like, you understand, if you don't stop the Silurians right now, there won't be anybody to take these back to. I still don't understand you two. And so she walks around, the Merca has broken in, and she decides to karate kick the Merca. It just has to be seen to believe, because it sounds like I'm literally making this up. But she puts up her fisticuffs, tries to see a weak point in its form, and then spin kicks it and insta-dies. Yeah. And I was just like, what
What was
did I just
actually
watch?
beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I'd seen in a long time. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the reason why I stopped being sick. Like, as soon as I saw that scene, it just fixed it. Like, I just wasn't sick anymore.
It's like, whoa. As soon as I saw that, I was like, that's something that would happen in, like, one of the lower budget Arnie films, like Commando or something. Like, just like... That was great. And I love how the Mercury just looks at her like, what did you really think that would accomplish? And then just leaves. The Merca, I think, is the least realized effect in the story. But I loved it. I loved every moment that thing was on screen. I don't know why it didn't just not have those arms, because it could have just had 4 limbs, but they gave it another 2 limbs, and that's what stopped that from like being sold to me. If it just had the legs, I would have been okay with that. You know, it would have been like a plesiosaur that had evolved to have legs instead of fins, and I was just like, no. And I've seen on Tyler's Wiki that the biggest negative thing about this was actually how the Merca was realized. But in saying that, I like the Merca. I think in modern Who they could pull it off. They'd probably drop off those 2 arms though. I could see that happening. They'd be like, just give it legs. Just give it legs.
I think the arms would have worked if they weren't like so dexterous. Like if they just looked like big fins instead.
Oh, that would have been cool. They actually would have. I think that would have worked, like some sort of thing that helped it swim. Yeah. Exactly. I think that would be superior. But I liked the Merca, the fact that it had its own electromagnetic field around it that it could use to kill people. I thought that was quite cool. The fact that it was impervious to bullets as well. It hated extreme heat. Extreme light. Sorry, it hated extreme light.
Yeah, couldn't deal with the sun.
So the Doctor creates this lovingly 80s satellite gun, and I was just like, that's so good. That's so 80s. The Doctor's teamed up with the base because he's like, look, I know you guys think I'm some sort of crazy eco-terrorist, but I'm actually not, and I want to help you guys not be dead. And the whole time the Doctor's like trying to figure out a way to get everybody to be peaceful. He's like, be peaceful, please, be peaceful. And everybody's like, no. you find out that the leader of this entire group of Silurians, including the Japanese Sea Devils, is actually the guy that the Doctor met in the Doctor Who and the Silurians that was actually like real keen on peace talks.
Yeah.
And the Doctor was like, hey, you actually survived. That's really good news. And he's like, yeah, who are you? I'm the Doctor. No, the Doctor was old. And he's like, no, dude, I'm actually the Doctor. Remember this and this? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna wipe out mankind. No, you wanted peace. And it's like, I really don't anymore. I gave you guys a chance and you blew me the hell up. So,
yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. I kind of see where this guy's coming from.
Exactly. It made a lot of sense what he was doing, but it was still just like, whoa.
Yeah. He was like, you know how I was keen on peace? I'm really not anymore. Just not even at all.
Yeah.
So the Doctor's like, okay, what? And the human race is like, hey, we want to wipe out these Silurians. And he's like, no, guys, come on. And the Doctor, unfortunately, through an interaction between Turlo and one of the Sea Devils, the humans find out that one of the gases they have on board actually brutally kills them.
Oh, yeah.
Brutally kills them. This is now bear in mind, there has been someone for the past 4 years trying to get Doctor Who cancelled.
Yeah.
Because of its violence. And I don't think Jonathan Nathan Turner cared whatsoever about that person's opinion.
Not at all.
Because that death is so graphic. And I was like, this is a family show, Jonathan Nathan Turner. Like, I love my Doctor Who to have some big cojones, but still remember this is a family show.
No, he didn't give two shits about it.
He didn't care at all. He was like, nah, violent. So as soon as the humans see this, they're like, we're gonna kill them. And the Doctor's like, ah. And Turlo's like, I'm real sus, man. I'm real sus. Turlo.
Yeah.
Turlo and Tegan both just become commandos in this story as well. It's great.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen Tegan commando since when she killed those Cybermen.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. She was killing Cybermen back in the day. It's great. She's like, you know what? I'm not going to take the sitting down. I'm just going to kill all the things that are trying to kill me and the Doctor.
Yeah.
So they're killing Silurians. The Doctor's like, I really wish we could broker peace here, guys. The Doctor and the commander of the base and the companions turn out to be the only humanoids that are still alive.
Yeah.
Near the end of the story.
The commander ends up getting shot.
Yes.
And he's dead too. So the only person is that guy who has been pumping that gas.
Yeah.
And they just leave.
They just leave. Could you imagine the paperwork for that guy?
He's probably sitting there being like, oh my god, what's happened?
He's like, okay, cool. So the Doctor leaves, and he looks around. The Doctor's pretty beat up as well. He's got like a proper black eye. He's been messed up in the story. And he just looks around, and Tegan's like, they're all dead. And the Doctor's like, he's like dumbfounded, and he's just like, there should have been another way. Yeah. And then he just leaves. Imagine the paperwork for Gas Guy, though, eh? Yeah. It'd be like, I hope the doctors sorted it out. It's just
like, so I don't actually know what happened. I was just chilling, and then things happened. Some reptiles. I was shooting them. This crazy, like, big reptile came in, destroyed everything, and killed people with touch. I was captured randomly, and then this weird, like, English kid, like, he just like escaped me and like a bunch of us out. My superior officer got shot by reptile people. Then this crazy, like, mad scientist guy who was in a cricket outfit, of all things, figures out that this gas kills the reptiles, and he just got me to feed it. And then I don't know where they've gone. Like, they've got the most ridiculous clothes on. I don't know where they've gone.
I don't know what's happening. Look, it's 2080. I just want to go to bed, all right? This story is, I'd say this is a must-watch. This is definitely, I'm a huge sucker for when the Doctor fails.
Yeah.
I just am. And I like it when it's a failure that's written well. The Doctor's back was against the wall, and the Silurians really didn't give him any other choice but to take them out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he was trying pretty hard to be all like, please don't kill mankind. Let's figure something out. And he's like, hey, that sounds really familiar to the time you told me you were going to do that. And then they blew my my whole race up. Remember that? Yeah. I totally do. He's pretty remorseful at the end, but when when guns are blazing about halfway through the story and he kills the Merca, Tegan's like, is it dead? And the Doctor's like, completely. Like, that was the most James Bond moment I think the Fifth Doctor's ever had.
Yeah.
That and when he used a cricket ball to push him through space. That was another, like...
Yeah, that was straight out of Moonraker. Like, it was a cutscene from Moonraker. That was a thing.
That was definitely a deleted scene where Roger Moore saves himself using a cricket ball. Like, it's a cricket ball spelled with a Q. Oh, I see. But I definitely say this is a must-watch.
Yeah.
The Silurians would come back later on in New Who. We haven't seen the Sea Devils. I really hope if we do see the Sea Devils, they remember to not make them humans with face makeup.
and that they should not have
they shouldn't have
shouldn't have mammary glands.
I'm just like rip female reptiles don't have those. Right. I would love to see an adaptation of Blood Heat, actually. I don't think New Who would ever have the guts to do that, but if you've ever read the novel Blood Heat, it's pretty great. The 7th Doctor, and so they'd have to make it the 13th Doctor.
Yeah.
The 7th Doctor lands in an alternate reality where the Doctor was killed during the Silurian event. The 3rd Doctor died. Like, super didn't regenerate. And the Silurians took over Earth.
Fair enough.
And the Brigadiers become this, like, ultra evil patriarchal figure. It's really good. I thoroughly.
So it's like another one of those
Inferno Earths.
Yeah, another Inferno Earth.
It's another Inferno Earth, which I found out the 6th Doctor actually accidentally started the evil regime in the Inferno Earth.
Ah, I see.
So I mean, like, that happened in a book, so we don't know how canon that is. But
yeah, because I mean,
finish.
I thought the idea was that like it was an alternate Earth where the 3rd incarnation of the Doctor was actually an evil guy. I thought that was the idea.
Yeah, that was another thing that was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the 3rd Doctor was like he was the tyrannical leader of Earth.
Yeah.
But anyway, Inferno Earth's blowing up, so who cares? But the Warriors of the Deep, I suggest people watch this one. I think it's quite a good serial, especially for a season opener. And kind of pushes the boundaries of what family entertainment could be.
Yes,
considering some of the brutal kills, like. Yeah, I don't think little children should probably watch this one. What are your thoughts on Warriors of the Deep, Harris Kelly?
Well, exactly that little children should not watch it. It's really good, really. It's got some really solid themes to it that we don't see really like any other time. Really, we probably won't see again for a while, even. So there's something to be said for stories that end with the Doctor just sort of being out of options, where like he's tried so hard up to this point to try and sort stuff out, and just nothing really goes his way right up until the end when he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to kill everybody. And it basically does like it ends on the point where all of the human characters are dead, all of the Silurian characters are dead, and he's just like, well. So yeah, it's really good, and I hope we get more like that. And I feel like this is the sort of stuff that they were going for as well with the last reimagining of the Silurians with 11 and
with Hungry Earth.
Yeah, with Hungry Earth, like that sort of idea. Except, yeah, of course, obviously this would be before that.
Even though I don't like the redesigns, I love the Hungry Earth arc.
Yeah,
when
it's a great
when
story.
the mother like brutally murders that Silurian, I'm like, oh, okay.
Exactly, and that's like what 11 like was trying to avoid as well, was that he was remembering all these terrible times that that humans have messed this up extremely for him. So that's even more of a brutal realization for him. Is,
Yeah.
oh my god, they've messed it up again.
How do you guys keep doing this?
So yeah, I like the story. Definitely some of the best killing that's ever gone on.
It's a family picture.
So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Right, okay. Well, again, guys, I think this is a good story. One, I wouldn't suggest watching with the young ones, just because it is quite brutal. It reminds me a lot of sort of Hartnell era Who, where a lot of the kills were actually pretty violent, especially when Ian threw that Aztec warrior off the side of a mustard bar.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna kill you, actually, psych! Chesterfield, a Chesterton. Chester drawers, did you throw him off that thing? Yes. Oh, well, you know, I'm not exactly going to say that was a bad thing, because let's get the hell out of here. But, yeah, I don't know. I'd say it's definitely a must-watch, but for adults only, which it's weird for it's not even Torchwood, you know? It's 60 Doctor Who. But with that out of the way, guys, we're going to jump into The Awakening. Harry Scully, take us away.
All right, so this takes happening immediately after the events of the Doctor not having a good time. We still haven't seen or heard from Chameleon since we just want to bring that up.
He's having adventures by himself thanks to the finishing novels.
Yes, so it's just funny that we still haven't heard from him.
I really wish that he was used more, because it could be a revolving door companion, because you just have to bring in an actor to play the part.
Exactly, like that's the thing. Is like it's really interesting that they didn't just use him for that, because there was no reason why he couldn't have played any single person. They obviously were like, we can't afford to do this this animation again, so let's not. But I'm surprised that no one was just like, well, why don't we just not use the animation? Just have him be something.
Because he could have been the psychic paper, you know what I mean? Like, this guy's an authoritative figure. Let's get Chameleon to be said authoritative figure. Boom, fixed.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the thing is that, like, even then, it's more like they didn't want to use that animation to do the shape changing stuff as well. So like, but even then, you just have him have Chameleon just be an actor, you know, for one day. Like, basically, you could have like guest actors on for that with Chameleon. Like, that would be even better, because then, especially with the BBC as it was back then, that people would have been really happy with that. Like, having actors from their favorite shows just appear on Doctor Who randomly.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Like when John Cleese was randomly at the end of City of Death. Exactly.
Like, that would have been like the perfect use for that. That idea is doing stuff like that. So I don't know. That's just my feelings on it with Chameleon. I'm sad he's not quite there yet. But you know, we'll get there. So this starts off just after that. We don't don't even hear a mention of Chameleon, as I said. But it turns out that they've decided to land in the middle of nowhere, England. To meet with Tegan's grandfather, that sort of stuff.
On which would be on Tegan's mother's side.
Yeah,
which would make it her auntie's dad as well. Has Tegan been all like, oh, you know your daughter? Yeah. You mean your mum? No, yeah, your other daughter. She's fully dead.
She's well dead.
Oh, yeah, she's been dead for about 6 years now. Oh.
Yeah, she died a horrible, gruesome death. Somebody shrunk her to the size of a miniature, and that pretty much killed her doing so. Has the murder ever been caught? No, not at all. Actually, this wanker right here, sitting next to me, he works with him from time to time. So I honestly don't know. I can't.
The grandfather's like, your grandfather's like, well, that's it. I'm gonna die now.
But no, actually what happens is they get there, they're trying to search for him. They end up in a church that's falling down, has a lot of devil iconography for some reason, even though it's a church. It's interesting. Turns out that her grandfather is a little missing, as they find out when they finally get into town proper. Talk to some people who appear to be going mad with some like reenactments of an old war they had, battle they had, which they keep calling the war games, and I'm just like, lol, that's not the war games.
That's not the war games. You guys aren't in a space station with crappy TARDISes.
So yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, so that's going down there. Find out that grandfather is missing, that these people are going a little crazy. They have to try to escape because it looks like they've gone so crazy they want to like capture them in some way and use them in this game they're playing. The doctor just basically realizes immediately there's something terrible going on here. He goes back to the church. Tegan, of course, gets captured, as well as Turlo. Everybody gets captured again. The doctor goes back to the church, finds out that what's going on here is that a demonic entity, or at least a psychic entity, has landed here on Earth. That was intended to like be the Goku sort of deal, where they show up and like help with conquering of the Earth.
And it seems they landed around this time with the pterodactyls, which actually lines up because the war they're reenacting is from the same time period as when the Doctor and Tegan killed the pterodactyls. Exactly.
So they're trying to reenact this because that was the last time that this entity was active, due to the psychic energy generated by this battle that they have. So the main I guess the mayor of the town, he seems like, something like that, something to that effect. He's trying to reenact this to get this almighty power that Malice is the name of the thing. Is going to give him, apparently, which isn't actually totally not the case. And apparently Tegan's grandfather knows about all of this as well. Apparently he was some sort of researcher researching the church and Malice, and for some reason totally believes in psychoactive energy as well.
He's like, I didn't, but then I found a giant devil face in the wall, and it spoke to me, and now I believe it.
Yeah, basically, it's just a thing. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the stuff when it comes to Doctor Who and their reasons for having them come to places. You could just say that the TARDIS just brought them there. Like, they didn't need to have this this reasoning for Tegan's grandfather.
I kind of am happy though, because like Tegan is sort of like the prototype New Who companion, where her family's involved in like her whole adventure. Because even her brother was like, was it a brother or a cousin?
It was a cousin. Yeah.
Cousin was involved in taking down Omega.
Yeah, well, it was a cousin's friend.
Oh, and yeah.
cousin got like taken over by Omega, but yes, there was that. Yeah, so that's definitely true that she's definitely like the first New Who companion, really, when it comes down to it like that. But it's not a thing that I like. Really. I don't like that New Who thing where the family's involved.
Yeah,
it's weird. Especially when it's like it's unnecessary for
like when like Amy got given parents and then never showed up again.
Yeah, like
what?
Exactly.
That was so weird.
Exactly like that, where there's a big deal about the fact that her parents had only not been around because they got sucked up by this thing in her wall. Although talking about thing in the wall, we'll get back to that. When it comes to that stuff, it's like they show up and there's supposed to be a big deal about her having parents, and then they're gone and we never see them again. And there's no point in that. It's weird. But yeah, talking about cracks in the wall. So back to the actual story we're talking about here. When we first start seeing Malice start peering through the wall as a giant stone head, it's got a crack in the wall, and it has a very particular shape.
Yeah.
One that is sold on the BBC website quite heavily as stickers and in all their other forms. So somebody somewhere did a very good job on that, where the reason why Melis seems to have been stuck time ways, where it couldn't get out until the reenactment happened, as well as there was a guy, his name was Will, I think it was.
Yeah, Will.
Who was from the previous time period, who got sucked through time.
Through the crack in the wall.
Exactly. So Moffat, as much as Moffat, you really did a good job initially with the timelines and sorting all that stuff out, and we're still figuring out ways that you didn't even fully make us realize how well you did this. So what happened?
Yeah.
What happened, Moffat?
What
Where
actually
did that all
happened?
go? Is it because we didn't notice these things? Like, is that why? You were just angry at us for not noticing it? I mean, we can't all be expected to know every single detail of Doctor Who. I mean, like, the only reason that we figured it out is because we went back and saw it. Like, that's the only reason we noticed that the crack in the wall is the same crack in the wall that was in that story, The Awakening, which is also only like a 40-minute story. So,
Yeah, right?
But I guess that's really it, though. That's why they're able to do that's the 40-minute cut. Is the only way we can pull a story in 40 minutes is to have a really quick reason for why we're there, and then have really not really fulfilled reasons for things to happen. So this is why the story felt like really jumpy because of that, where they show up just because Tegan's you're going to go see Tegan's grandfather. Tegan's grandfather's not there, and the story just goes from there. Grandfather's missing, got to find the grandfather, find out why he's gone missing, and then that's the way that they steer the story, and that's what New Who's developed, is the way we steer the 40-minute stories. When it comes to it, is we have a human element on Earth propelling the story.
Yeah.
It's like that's all well and good, but it's boring. It gets really boring really quick.
I think the what was the last two-parter? Was it Black Orchid? No,
Yeah.
King's Demons.
Yes.
King's Demons. I think that was handled a lot because that flowed really nicely. The King's Demons, and that was a 40-minute story.
Well, that's the already having pre-prepared characters as the Master, so you can pull it off with recurring villains like the Master, just like any other story really. But when you're trying to do brand new stuff like every single time, you need a lot longer to handle that, because you need at least one story to set up everything properly. So yeah, it's just the way of the world really. It works, the story, because of course that's how they set it up with Tegan's grandfather. I'm not a big fan of the family ties sort of deal, but it's just a thing that happens really. Otherwise, it was really interesting seeing the story play out with the demon aspect of it, where this psychic entity was generating stone sculptures as well that had his likeness, which was really creepy, as well as really sci-fi as well at the same time, because it did the glitchy television effect sort of to it, but at the same time they looked like real fantasy-esque, because they were lizard stone marble sculptures that had their heads twist around and had normal human faces. It was just who comes up with this? JNT, you're crazy.
JNT is just everything. Let's do this. I don't care. It's the 80s. Just make it happen. I think the creepiest is actually when the leper projection turns into that swordsman.
Yeah.
I was like, that's uncomfortable, because the actor playing the swordsman was blank faced, literally didn't emote at all, and I was like, okay, that's unnerving.
It was really good. The aspects to that, like the terror aspects and the costuming and all that stuff was done very, very well. But I think it was more of like they wanted to have a story that blended two time zones as well. Like you have real time characters in old timey dress, so it gave them a good reason for having dress that was clean and nice, but was actually supposed to look like something of the time. Because normally what happens when you have people go back and you have time travel stories in the past, is the costumes don't quite work because they're brand new costumes and all that sort of stuff. You're just like, that doesn't really fit. But with this, because they're only reenacting the stuff, having their costumes be all new and look all fancy and have mixed materials, you're just like, okay, that makes sense. So
that totally works. With the costuming, when the guy who hadn't been completely hypnotized yet, he was like the police chief or something.
Yes.
So the guy they had the long red wig on.
Yeah.
When he took that wig off, I was like, where did that guy go from earlier? And it took me a lot longer than I'm willing to admit to realize that the guy with the short white hair was the guy with the red long hair wig. I was like, oh!
I see.
And I was like, oh, I can't wait to bring that up in Whoscussion.
Perfect. Good. That's great. Good job.
I was just like, oh, they're the same person.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Who the hell's this random short grey haired guy? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So the story ends with basically the Doctor pressing some buttons on the TARDIS to stop the psychic energy from taking hold anymore.
Which had broken into the TARDIS as well.
Yeah, it totally had. It was gonna ruin some stuff. It was on the wall and everything. It was pretty cool. Yeah, so it ends with that happening, and then them like talking down the main guy from we're trying to talk down the main guy from
I'm so glad you edited that trying.
Yeah, trying to talk
I was
down
like, wait.
And then him getting ruthlessly murdered.
Will's like, you're a demon.
Yeah. He just like he jabs him in the jugular. That's what happens. And it is gruesome. I mean, like, you don't see it, of course, obviously, but it still is like the implied violence there was amazing. I just can't believe that. I'm surprised that it didn't get cancelled earlier.
Yeah, Mary Whitehouse is like, and cancelled.
Yeah, like, this is the sort of stuff that caused the problem, so I don't know. It's something. Otherwise, yeah. Just wow. That was a thing.
I love because it worked because of the time period Will was from. Like, he's like, that man is a demon, and I'm from a time period where we think those are real things. Oh!
Yep. It was...
Everybody just looks at each other like, well, he's from another time period, so it's okay.
He is, that guy is dead now.
I love when they killed that guy. Malice is like, well, I've lost my only link to this realm. I'm dead too.
Yep. So that was the awakening. It was a time. It was definitely a time. It finally ends with them, the Doctor saying, let's go, and everyone else being like, no, let's stay for a little bit. And he's just like, oh, all right, whatever.
I love that the Doctor's like, I really need to get this guy to 300 years in the past. Nah, he can just come get in the piss with us. Yep. I don't know if that's such a good thing, because we don't know what disease he has that might not exist anymore, but okay.
Exactly that.
When Turlo's like, they've got a brown liquid here that I've grown to quite enjoy. Oh, that be that ale. And it's like, no, I think they call it tea.
Yeah.
And then like Will's like, what be that tea? Because they haven't opened up the Chinese Silk Road to England yet. And the Doctor's like, well, it's filled with this and this. And he goes, that sounds like the devil drink. And the Doctor's like, yeah, nah, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, kind of like it. It's pretty good. Yeah.
I just imagine they would have been there for probably at least a week, I reckon. And like this guy from like 300 years in the past is like, what be this devil box? That's the television. That's the television. Imagine having to teach him how to use the toilet as well. That would be so funny. Like, Tegan be like, Doctor, can you just take him home and leave us here for a while? You know I can't drive that thing really well. I might leave you here forever. Good point.
All right, let's just go.
Let's just leave Will here with my granddad. I don't think I could do that. Imagine that, eh? The doctor's like just about to regenerate, and he's like, "Oh, I totally forgot to take Will home." Oh. Like,
what was I talking about? Who's that Will person?
Who's that Will person? Also, Perry, you might want to put a different shirt on. All right, let's go. But like, I want there to be like a short trip where it's just like them chilling out with Will. Like, I'd love that.
That would actually be great. Actually, just trying to teach Will what's going on. And then he gets back. Like when the doctor finally takes him back, he's just like, "Oh man, I don't want to live here anymore."
Yeah. This time period sucks.
Like, can you actually just let me stay here?
Yeah, can you just please let me just stay in 1980? Actually, I'm not allowed to do that because the Time Lords would probably kill you. What are they? Yeah. Bye!
Yeah.
Like, man, I really hope there isn't an incarnation of me that's dumb enough to take somebody out of that time period.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Well, sure I'm glad I'll never regenerate to destroy the web of time. The Awakening is, I think, even though it's a bit jumpy in places, I think it's still a good story.
Absolutely.
It's a quick watch. I mean, you can pick it up. I wish you can't. All Classic Who's out of print now. When they decide to reprint Classic Who, pick it up. You can watch this on BritBox.
Yeah, BritBox is good. Yeah.
You can watch it on BritBox. I think Hulu's got Classic Who as well. Don't quote me on that. But there's ways to see the story, and I think it's quite good. I don't think they ever remastered it because we watched the DVD version. They didn't look too remastered to me.
No.
They were just like, look, just print it, all right. I think the darkest aspect of this whole story was the fact that they were gonna burn Tegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, they'd gone so crazy that they were actually gonna straight up burn her, like at the stake. Not even at this. Yeah, it was.
When Sir George's henchman Hutchinson was like, really sorry, I was gonna murder you, Tegan. And she's like, that's okay, I guess. And he's like, ha ha ha. All's well that ends well, right, guys? Like, Sir George got stabbed in the jugular.
That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happens. Doctor Who was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
You can't tell me it wasn't happened. You haven't watched.
You haven't watched. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's us for part A, and we'll catch you in part B.
All right.